Wow.
Wow, this is some really deep stuff.
I don't know what just happened, but something happened inside of me. Something snapped, something.
I wasn't expecting that either.
Sorry.
It's okay. It's all right. It's beautiful.
Monster is like really small, but it had to become that to stop me.
Because then the hurt child became present when you mentioned it.
And I didn't realize this until now.
There were things that I didn't remember until now.
Funny, I haven't seen that before.
And it feels like I'm the monster. I'm kind of seeing images of things, of a world where they can exist. This clarity brings all kinds of answers.
It's clear. She hugged me and then went back to her place, I guess, in my heart. Oh, it wants to come out. It wants to bippity boppity boop Cinderella me. She's melted into my chest. It's ooey gooey.
All week been finishing things, cleaning up more, started eating vegetables again last week. And it kind of just started happening. It's almost like I just finished going through a meditation session.
I feel light. When you hit that first joint, in the morning, and
I actually feel a lot more awake.
So think of a protector or a part of you that you'd like to get to know better or change your relationship with. And if that's too abstract, just anything that's getting in your way or anything that you want to explore.
I think the challenging part for me this week has been feeling anxious about the unknown. That has probably been my biggest challenge this week.
Okay.
I have often felt uncomfortable about not knowing what's coming next. That's not quite true. If it's just watching a TV show or something and I don't know what's next, that's fine. But when I have to make a decision and I don't know exactly what the ramifications of my decisions will be, I get anxiety about that. For example, making this move, would it end up actually being the right decision? How would it affect my relationship with my sons? I know someone down there who I'll be living just a few minutes away from, who used to be my best friend. And now he doesn't talk to me. Will we ever interact while I'm down there? So I've been trying to work through that. And I'm trying to remember if this is accurate. I had the feeling this week of, it was when you mentioned earlier this week on the morning stream about checking in with the different ages.
Yeah.
I had the realization that I go through this loop a lot because I move so much. I move someplace, I try to make some connections and roots, things start happening, then I move and I have to start all over. And in part, there's some I feel some abandonment stuff because people don't stay in contact.
Yeah.
So I'm trying, in preparing for moving to Orlando, I'm trying to recognize that this cycle happens, and I need to look more forward to making those new connections and worrying less about will I feel all alone, because now looking back at those cycles, I do end up making friends wherever I go, but I still have that anxiety of will other things go well, how will it impact things with other people.
Okay.
Sorry, that was a really long answer.
No, it's fine. It's good to get it all out and get as much as you can out, and then sometimes people will have a story and we'll say there's 8 different parts coming up in this. Are they 8 separate parts? Are these ones really related and overlapping? Is this part really one that you want to change your relationship with? Or sometimes people will talk about, I say people, anybody, myself included, they had a hard time with something and they're sad about it, but it's kind of like appropriately sad, and they don't really want or feel the need to really examine it, because once they've got it off their chest, they kind of feel like, oh, well, yeah, that's about right, So it's good to just get it out and look at the parts that, yeah, again, that you'd like to get to know better, change your relationship with. So some of the parts I heard you mentioning are, the anxiety around how things are going to go, and then this kind of looping part, or this part that's concerned about being alone. That might be different, or that might be the same. That might be one part that's protecting or working with the other. So do you have more, or do you have one of those that you'd like to focus on today?
I feel like I'd want to really focus on anxiety. I think if I could, that was one of our parts, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if I could get a better relationship with my anxiety, maybe like how you talked about this morning with shame has a job. Maybe if I could figure out anxiety's job and communicate with anxiety, maybe I would have a better relationship with it and be able to better manage how I feel when I am anxious.
Yeah. Sounds good. So, yeah, focus on that anxious part and see where you notice it in or around your body.
I feel like anxiety, when I feel anxiety, I feel it in my chest. If I'm in a physical, what's the word?
Description, definition.
Yes, a description of it, like outside when I'm thinking about the part, it would be like, I had talked before about humanoid shapes that are kind of translucent. It kind of feels like one of those, but more light colored. But this one, or the other ones in the past, have been very like still kind of ghost-like. This one is a lot more shaking, like visibly nervous.
Okay. Did you say humanoid shape?
Humanoid shape, about my height, but more slouched over.
Okay. So, yeah, turn towards that part and see if it's possible to get closer to it and to just look out for any other qualities you can detect about it.
The feeling of it as far as location goes, it is right in front of me. Like if I were standing, it would be standing right in front of me, but hunched over.
Okay.
Yeah, if there are any other parts nearby, I would only be able to see them over its shoulder, kind of like when someone's standing right in front of you.
Yeah.
But I don't see any other parts nearby. I don't feel any other parts nearby. I just feel anxiety right there.
Okay. And how do you feel towards this part?
I feel nervous about anxiety. I also feel alone because now thinking about that part about looking over the shoulder for the other parts, I'm realizing that I don't, unlike the previous times we've talked, there are no other parts nearby. And that is something I feel when I am anxious, is that even if I'm physically surrounded by other people, I feel very alone.
Okay.
But yeah, it's still just anxiety is right in front of me. It's a little hunched over. Its hands are shaking. It's nervous, and I'm nervous looking at it.
Okay. So our goal is to try to get to a place where you're just curious about it. And so that feeling of nervousness that you're having, even being in proximity with it, see if you can ask that feeling of nervousness to give you some space so that you can get to know this particular part that you seem to have a very good visual lock on.
Okay. I have asked nervousness to calm down and let me talk to anxiety.
Uh-huh.
And nervousness has calmed down a little bit.
Okay.
So, yeah. So now it's just, I guess I'm a bit more aware that nervousness is around, but anxiety is still in front of me.
Yeah. You can let nervousness know that it can always step in if it's having concerns during our conversation, or if it's feeling like it's getting overwhelmed, or that you might get overwhelmed. It can step back in and let us know its concern. And then just see if you can deepen your access to the anxious part. Is it aware of your presence? And if not, can you make it aware of your presence? Let it know that you'd like to get to know it and ask it some questions.
Okay. Let's see. I think anxiety knows I'm right there, but it's weird. Okay, this is weird to say. Anxiety is there, but it's also anxious about me trying to talk with it.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to help anxiety feel like it's okay, that we can talk.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and I don't know how you might choose to do that. Sometimes with my parts that are not so eager to talk, I see myself just kind of holding out my hand and taking their hand, or some other kind of physical gesture that's, it's not demanding, it's not pushing, but it's just kind of establishing contact and letting them know that way that that they have my attention and that I'm curious to get to know them.
So I am extending my right hand out to anxiety, and anxiety is reaching back out, and I am letting anxiety know just want to talk for a little bit.
Yeah. How does it react to that?
It does extend out of its humanoid translucent shape. It does extend its left hand out towards my right hand to hold it.
Okay. So now you might just ask it, what does it want you to know? Or what does it want you to know about it?
The first two things it said, that anxiety said, were, I'm scared. I don't want you to mess something up.
Okay. And how do you feel when you hear it saying that? How do you feel towards it when you hear that it's scared and concerned about you messing something up?
I feel, oh, yeah, that totally makes sense.
Yeah, let it know that. Just see how it reacts.
So I told anxiety, that makes sense. That's your job. That's what you're supposed to be doing, is making me aware when something can go wrong and giving me that feeling. And it kind of smiled out of appreciation for recognition.
Mm-hmm. So this might sound nitpicky, but I would encourage you to, well, a couple of things. One is you're calling this part anxiety, and I understand that that's a fair enough term, but it might not recognize itself as that, and it might not, we don't necessarily know that it identifies as that, if you will.
Okay.
And yeah, the other is to just make sure that you're staying now in a curious place and not, you were saying about telling it what it's supposed to do or how it's supposed to be. And I think you may get less accurate or less useful information from it if you are going into that kind of, want to avoid kind of sending those type of messages back to it, especially in the beginning of the contact with it.
Gotcha. Okay. Sorry about that.
Well, hey, it's your journey, and you can do it in the way that does feel best to you. So everything I'm saying is just a suggestion.
I appreciate the suggestions. Yeah. I'm still very new.
Yeah. Like I said, those are kind of nitpicky things that I only share with you because I feel like you're we've talked a few times, and I wouldn't tell someone, I probably wouldn't point that out necessarily for someone who was like brand new to it. So
Gotcha.
It's a little advanced. You're doing good. So see if you can ask it or learn from it more about its concerns. You might ask it to show you when it says, it's worried about you messing things up. What does that look like? Can you get more of a picture of what it's worried about? And you don't have to necessarily share that with me, but try to get a real understanding and ask this part, what are those fears?
You're talking to it. So far we've talked about the concern is chaos, that things will go awry to the point that it's not controllable anymore. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Does that make sense to you? I mean, does it resonate with you, what it's showing you?
It does resonate with me. I do feel like when I'm in a space where I can't control what might happen in a situation, that I do feel anxious. and not control every aspect of it, but just how do I say this?
Well, things can be too chaotic, and that can be dangerous or harmful, or screw things up.
I think that's where the screw things up is what resonates the most, is that if things get so chaotic and I don't know what the avenues are for trying to stop and fix it, that I won't be able to fix it.
Yeah. So let it know that you get that you get the feeling that it's sending you, that you get the message, and that you appreciate its intention, and it's looking out for that, even if it doesn't feel great, that you at least appreciate what it's looking out for, and that it does resonate with you, that's a valid concern.
I'm recognizing it. Seems to be a bit calmer. I feel a bit calmer. Sorry, go ahead.
All right. Sorry, I got distracted by the weed whacker outside. Hope it's not too loud for you.
No, I can't hear it on my end at all.
Okay, good. Okay. So you're with this part. You've shown it some appreciation. It's loosening up. You're feeling a little more relaxed. And I'm curious, just when it shows you the kind of, you said the screwing up or the things being chaotic, does it show you, images of that, of times in your past when you've been in those type of situations? Does it show you specifics there? I'm just curious if that's how it did communicate with you.
It did not communicate specific images.
Mm-hmm.
It communicated the feeling.
Okay. So yeah, and this is just again my curiosity. Is that feeling? Is that a different part? Is it trying to protect you from a different part? You can just ask it that.
Okay. Yeah, I think chaos is a different part.
Okay.
And now that that is coming up, I kind of feel that its presence is now in the space too, along with anxiety and nervousness.
Yeah. Okay. So nervousness is coming back in to protect and to let you know that, like we said, it could if things felt like they were getting overwhelming. So now that you've looked at this chaos, it sounds like nervousness is interested in slowing things down, huh?
Yes.
Okay.
Because so the physical, the manifestation of anxiety and nervousness are there, but they don't have a lot of weight,
Mm-hmm.
where now that chaos is manifesting, it feels heavy.
Yeah. So this all makes a lot of sense to me, and I don't know if I don't want to get into like explaining mode. But part of me does, part of me doesn't. I think that you have these protectors, and you have the anxiety, and you have the nervousness, and I imagine that this feeling of being in chaos is more like an exiled part, because
Okay.
you could have experienced that when you were 3 years old. I mean, we probably all did to some degree, and so the protective aspect of anxiety and nervousness come in to warn you from that and keep you away from that.
Okay, I think that makes sense.
Okay. And if you wanted to, and if these parts were up for it, and you would just ask them, and you would ask yourself, if you wanted to, we could go into that part of the conversation of, let's get to know this part that you're calling chaos. Again, if we had that permission from nervousness and from anxiety to look at that
Okay.
part that you say has more weight, which makes sense to me. And let them know that the reason we would do that is to get to know it better and try to heal whatever it is that's causing it to have so much weight and have so much, can be so overwhelming.
So that looked like me asking for permission to talk to chaos, and nervousness doesn't say anything, but in a way that's a good thing. It does feel like consent.
Mm-hmm.
Anxiety is not thrilled.
Okay. We can respect that.
Yeah. I said it's okay. We're here as a team, and you can step in if you need to if things aren't going well with chaos. And so, even though anxiety is not thrilled, it's okay with us moving forward to talk with chaos.
Okay, it's entirely up to you, and it also might, you being in this space now, you can demonstrate to these parts that you have this power to go forward or not. That this isn't a conversation for me; it's for you, and so you can decide that, and you can show your parts that whichever way you go, you're in control, and you can step right back out.
Okay. I would like to continue.
Okay.
If you're
Great. So this part that you're calling chaos, how do you feel towards it?
trying to think of the right construction of this word. I was going to say painful, but I guess that probably is the best construction of the word. This feels very different from the other parts I've talked with before.
Is it like sore?
Kind of,
Sorry.
not more than that, like hurt, which is kind of confusing. It, like anxiety, the area of the body that I feel it most of is my chest, but unlike anxiety, it's not a humanoid shape at all. I keep trying to see it better, and it's just coming off as like this really heavy purple cloud that's kind of coming off of my chest out into the air right next to me.
Okay. Let it know you'd like to get to know it better.
Okay.
And let it know you'd like to see it better. So if it can present itself however it wants, and that you're willing to see it for what it is.
Still trying to communicate. Okay. Sorry. What I am getting so far I tried to greet it. Nervousness had to step in for a moment and said, okay, thank you, and calmed back down. Tried again, and there's a little bit less pain, but when I asked if I could see its, I think it's true form. Was that the word you used?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that it's not a purple cloud, but
that's kind of what chaos says. It's like, hey, this is it. You form of this kind of sparkly purple cloud that it still feels attached to me, and the reason it is a cloud is clouds are chaotic. You can't really hold a cloud or shape a cloud or do anything with it. It's going to do what it wants to do.
Yeah.
And so that's why it's chosen that form.
Yeah. So just show it your patience, and that I'm imagining a chaotic cloud right now, and I'm also imagining it settling over time. You know, like if you had some cloudy water in a glass and it kind of settled. So again, I'm not asking you to bend it and change it. I'm asking for you to recognize it and let it know that you have patience and curiosity right now, that you have the time to get to know it, and that if it could settle in any way so that it can communicate with you, that you would be happy to hear it.
Okay. I've asked if we can talk. It said sure.
Okay.
So this is where it asks, what do you want me to know, right?
You could ask it that. You could ask it if it feels like you get it.
If it feels like I get it?
Yeah.
Oh, like I can understand? Okay.
Yeah.
So I asked, if I get it,
Mm-hmm.
and it said no.
Yeah.
I asked, what did it want me to know?
Mm-hmm.
And in a grouchy type of way, it responded, you don't like me at all.
Okay.
Which kind of made me feel sad.
Yeah.
It did, yeah. But it does kind of make sense. Well, there are times in general in life where I do like having some planning or some. No, that I went the wrong way. I did not say it correctly.
Can I jump in?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
So there are parts of you that are interested in protecting you from this part. And that those parts are anxiety and nervousness. And so you can let it know that you see that those other parts have been kind of hard on it and have made it and have put distance between you and it, and let it know that you do have sadness around it feeling like you don't like it at all.
Gotcha. Okay. I tried to communicate that and interestingly, nervousness tried to step back in, and to go back to nervousness and like, okay, we're okay. We're a team here. I recognize that you're trying to protect me. We're okay.
And you can stop anytime you want.
I think we're still good. I just needed to pause for a moment and talk with nervousness for a minute to check in.
Yeah, and I meant kind of letting it know that you are in control.
Gotcha. Okay.
You can hang up this call. You can go silent. You can take it any way you want. You can end it quickly. You can talk to me another hour if you want. So it's really your control.
Okay.
So how does this part react when you tell it that you do have sadness around it feeling like you don't like it at all, and that you see how the other parts have been hard on it?
There's not much change other than this sense of acknowledgement that it hears that I feel sad that there's that distance between us.
Okay. It's progress. So now I might suggest returning to that question of what does this part want to show you? What kind of pain has it experienced that perhaps you've been unaware of because you've been separate from it, or not communicating with it?
I'm still thinking. the main feeling I'm getting back is that there are so many options. That's what keeps repeating, is there's so many options. And it's hard to stay focused or on a path if there's more than one or two things going on, and that's where chaos is coming in. That in a way it manifests as a cloud as well, because inside there's so many options and avenues to explore.
Yeah, so it feels like there's too many options or so many.
It's actually a really interesting distinction, because I think what I'm getting from chaos is there are so many options to explore, and nervousness is at the same time, nervousness just keeps trying to jump in. It's saying there's too many options to explore.
Mm-hmm. So ask this part, this purple cloud part, if it feels overwhelmed by having so many options. Again, we're trying to understand its feelings.
The chaos part is pretty upset. It feels like it wants to explore those options more, but it can't, because it wants me to explore the options more, but it can't, because it's being pushed out by anxiety and nervousness.
Yeah.
And so that's why there's that distance.
Yeah. So it wants some freedom. It wants maybe some adventure. It wants to explore. It wants to understand. I don't know if any of those are resonating. And these protector parts are kind of locking it up and keeping it from having that freedom. So again, let it know that you see that, and that you see those protectors doing that.
Okay.
And that you're here now to try to get to know it so that you can find ways to work with it, that those protectors won't interfere so much, and that you've got their permission to talk.
I've let it know that we've got their space and we're listening.
Yeah, and more than that, try to show it some sympathy and some compassion for being stuck where it is in wanting more options, seeing a lot of options, perhaps sometimes being overwhelmed by those, but also wanting to explore them more and not feeling like it has the ability to do that. Show it some sympathy and some sympathy for being in that place.
So I'm showing it some sympathy. I'm also giving that part a hug.
Mm-hmm.
And that pain that I described earlier from the part of the cloud that was still felt attached to my chest,
Mm-hmm.
that feeling is not nearly so strong anymore.
Okay, great. And has the image of this part changed at all?
No, still a slightly sparkly purple cloud coming up from the left side of my chest up into the air, kind of hovering above me, a little bit in front of me.
Okay.
So it's still manifesting in the same way, but it doesn't feel so stressed out or upset.
Okay. I would look to see if there's a child in there.
Inside the cloud that is currently manifesting as chaos?
Inside, or creating it, or putting that image there. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I don't want you to make anything up or do anything because you feel like it's the right thing to do in the process, but that's what I would look for.
Right.
Kind of cut out.
I'm not getting it.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm not getting a clear answer on that.
Okay. Yeah, I was kind of thinking about, when a child is kind of having a tantrum, that they turn purple and they throw a cloud of sparks up. And often, in this kind of paradigm, I often see these protector parts as sort of the grown-ups, and these more hurt, more alienated parts often as child parts. But it doesn't have to show up that way or mean that to you or anything. Just something I would look for.
Okay.
Thinking of the Tasmanian devil.
Yeah.
It's like, hold on, is there a person in there?
Yeah. I'm definitely not getting the feeling that there's a child inside the chaos cloud.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm not getting a clear answer on is if there is a child part that's attached to it or me in some other way.
Yeah. You can
But
always
it's definitely
just ask. You can just ask directly. You know.
yeah. I'm just not getting any more clear information.
Okay, it's fine.
Is it weird to say that it feels like gas is kind of shut down?
No, and I'm feeling that, and that makes sense. Maybe we weren't able to, or we didn't ask it what might have opened it up more, and that's okay. I mean, you've established contact, and you don't have to give up, or you can choose to. But yeah, I would try to ask it. It mentioned not being able to explore all the options, and you could try asking it what that would look like if anxiety wasn't blocking it and nervousness wasn't blocking it, how exploring options would look for it.
Okay, so that it jumped right into the answer of adventure.
Okay.
That I would feel more free to explore things and probably more joyful things if I just explored the options better.
Okay. So see if you can kind of go to that place with it where you're showing it things it can explore. It's showing you how it would like to explore. Have some fun with it. Show it a menu of joyful things and exploration. And just spend some time kind of playing with it and see how it reacts.
The reaction I'm getting is fun. That if the options were there and I pursued them, that would be having more fun. And it's also trying to tell me this is what Orlando. It's specific. Okay, no, let me back up. I'm sorry. One of the first images it presented was me jumping off of a cliff into a water.
Mm-hmm.
Not a very tall cliff, but maybe like 1 or 2 stories.
Mm-hmm.
High diving board height, maybe a bit taller. And that avenue, following through with that would be fun and exciting, and it's also something that I would typically not explore.
Yeah.
Because I'd be protecting from it.
Yeah.
And so then right after that, it said that this is what Orlando could be. If you just let it be and go explore and enjoy the exploring part, because there are so many options in Orlando. It's basically almost a blank slate.
Yeah. So let it know you really appreciate its perspective on that, and that you really appreciate its need and its desire for you to have more joy and adventure and excitement in your life.
So I'm getting now the feeling of it's moving towards happiness away from the upsetness it was feeling earlier.
Great. Yeah, just keep showing it stuff and let it show you. You know, jumping into the water is one thing among 1,000, right? So take some time, and you might do this after the call, you might do it now, but let it know that matters enough to you that you want to explore that with it and get those ideas and get them on paper. Let it have some fun. Starting inside you in fantasy, right? It's like when a child makes a wish list for Santa Claus, and it's just put it all out, put it all on the list, right? You want to let them run wild. Let them know that you appreciate that nature. You need that, and you appreciate that spontaneity and adventure that this part is so good at coming up with.
Okay.
And that might just kind of lead to the question of what does it need from you in the future? Is it, like I was saying, to make those lists? Is it to spend more time doing that? What does it need from you in the future?
So the idea of making a list sounds intriguing. And the first thing when I ask what else can I do for it? How else can I be of help?
Mm-hmm.
The immediate, not loud, but clear answer is let go. And I think let go as in terms of stop holding back.
Yeah. So again, just let it show you what that looks like, and you show it too. You're brainstorming, and you might want to ask it specifically what it needs from you around the anxiety and the nervousness.
Earlier, you and I were talking about the road tripping.
Uh-huh.
And Cass is saying, remember that trip? There was no, other than reaching the destination, like waypoints in the trip.
Yeah.
There were no rules about the trip other than you have to reach these cities by the end of each night.
Uh-huh. Meaning you could stop wherever you wanted. You could go into go to different places and take your time and do it however you wanted?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that was a lot of fun. Just being able to, it was time that I could do what I wanted, that I didn't feel restricted by myself or by anybody else. And other than just that requirement to make it to the hotel each night.
Yeah.
And I wasn't, for the most part, I wasn't stressed out during that trip. I enjoyed it. And it's reminding me that I have this upcoming trip to get down to Orlando, and I'm feeling stressed out, or I'm feeling anxious. I've been feeling anxious about that anxiousness. Anxiety has been stepping in.
Yeah.
And I need it. It wants me to let go. The things are going to work out. It might not look like how I thought I would a month or so ago, but I will get to Orlando. Just let things go how they're going to go. And have fun with it.
Yeah.
Because I'm only going to do this trip. This might be the last time I do this trip. So.
You mentioned the word finger painting the other day.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's pretty chaotic, right?
It is. It is chaotic. It's messy, but it is a lot of fun.
Yeah. It just came to my mind. That's the only reason I brought it up. It's like when you have an art project with a child, especially, and you're like, okay, here's the paper here, and then there's this point where, wait a minute, there aren't any rules, and they get it, and they don't need any more explaining. You know what I mean? And is that kind of point of and then you too can relax and say, oh yeah, wait, yeah, they are going to make a mess. Yes, it is going to. Yes, whatever they create is going to be a chaotic thing, and it is out of my control, and it's exactly as it should be. It's just the feeling I was getting from hearing you describe it.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So I can see a bit better now how you mentioned earlier that anxiety and nervousness are protective parts, and they've been stepping in. They've been stepping in a lot, and now I feel bad that I feel bad that they've kind of been working overtime.
Yeah, let them know that. Let them know you think that they might be working a little too hard, and that and your goal isn't to beat them back; it's to give them a break, and that you would love to see some more chaos in your life, and that it's for the good of the system. And again, just ask these parts what you can do for them in the future, what they need from you. And because look, I struggle with the same thing. It's like, yeah, I want to have more fun. I want to go get lost in this and that. But on the other hand, well, I have to plan that, so it's kind of like, it can be tough to figure out how to do that and how to do it in the right way and structure it, but not structure it too much. So just ask those parts what it would look like for you, for them to have a balance there where chaos gets its time to be chaotic, and the more structured parts can have their time too.
Okay.
And how's nervousness doing?
So the manifestation of nervousness is not humanoid either. It's kind of like a snake that's also translucent, but it's kind of wrapped around like my shoulders. And nervousness has calmed back down. I talked with the three of them. Said, okay, I think we need to be a team, and we need to balance things back out so that anxiety and nervousness are doing less work and chaos can stretch a bit more, and just find that balance. We're all working together. And so nervousness calmed down a bit. Anxiety is pretty quiet right now, but it's not. Earlier, there's the visual of anxiety had nervous hands, shaking hands.
Mm-hmm.
The hands aren't shaking now. And the cloud that is chaos is there. It's still hanging overhead, but there is no, that pain that I was feeling at the very beginning with chaos is not there. It still feels attached, but it is not feeling painful.
It doesn't feel so much like you don't want it around.
Right. Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Great. I don't have any more questions for the parts. I would say to give them a lot of love and give them thanks for being willing to do this. There were a lot of parts, a lot of moving parts, and a lot of coming in and coming out. And, it went well the way that you're able to work with them. So just thank them for being willing to communicate and listen and work with you in the way that they do and did. And again, kind of in that line of what do they need from you in the future, you might want to establish a way of checking in, especially with the chaotic part. When does that check-in happen? What does it look like? How does it manifest so that it's not sitting on a back burner, an afterthought?
So, sorry, one sec. So I've given them appreciation. Kind of had not a group hug per se, because anxiety is the only one in a humanoid form, but kind of like a figurative group hug.
Yeah.
It's checked in with chaos. Like if I'm in chaos and anxiety specifically, it's like if chaos is feeling restricted, because anxiety is moving in, maybe it's just recognizing more that anxiety is working and it's working too hard, and that's a signal that I need to check back in with anxiety and chaos and try to relax and bring chaos back onto the team in a good way. Instead of that emphasis on making anxiety do so much work.
Yeah, if it gets ignored, then it's going to build up and it's going to get more and more angry or feel resentful, and then it has to really push back on anxiety, and the anxiety has to get bigger, and that's when they're not working together.
Right. I've given them thanks. And as if I asked if there's anything else they want me to know, but they're all like, no, there's nothing else.
Great. Well, sounds like you've done great work and you've helped them all feel better. Got to know them all a little better.
Yeah. It's nice to recognize that they're all separate parts, but they're all part of the same. I know I keep coming back to team, but I'm a sports guy. They're all part of the same team, and they just need to work better together. And I can help facilitate that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What else should I be thinking about?
Well, yeah, because I know you and because we both have ADHD. I'm just going back to that. Really getting clear on what your check-ins look like and where that is on your calendar and all of that. So, and I mean, I say that to everybody, regardless of the ADHD thing, but I do know how hard it can be when you don't have a routine for the checking in with the parts. So that's my only kind of advice on where to go next with it, but
Makes sense.
yeah.
I added onto my move project list is on the table on my desk, and I did add onto their quote unquote chaos list.
Great, beautiful.
So, yeah, so I think that'll help me do it like a follow-up check-in with chaos on how to better explore making the move more enjoyable, hopefully, by either checking out new things or just a reminder that gotta let chaos do its job too. It has a job, and I haven't been letting it do its job.
Yeah. Yeah, and when you're in that space of anxiety, feels like it's taking over, or anxiety wants to take over, you can kind of reframe that and say, well, this isn't I'm out of control and I need to be anxious. This is I'm doing the right thing by attending to my need for chaos and my need to express that and let it express itself.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Great. Well, thank you for sharing everything today.
Thank you. This has been really right. The other times have been too, but this has been really nice.
Good.
It's helped me find some good clarity.
Good. Well, yeah. Send me any questions you have, and we'll get working on that Discord server. It'll be good.
Oh, sounds great. I'm looking forward to it.
Cool. It's nice talking with you.
Good talking with you too. I hope you have a pleasant evening.
You too. Talk to you later.
Thanks. Bye.
Do you want to help bring more self-energy to the world? If you'd like to participate in calls or help out with this project in any way, I'd love to hear your ideas. Join the Discord server or contact me at james@liveifs.com. A huge thanks to our audio engineer, Zikri, for your care and diligence in editing the calls. To every caller for your courage in sharing some of your parts. And to anyone out there getting to know their internal system, keep going. Who knows, that might be the most selfless, helpful thing you can do for others, and you're the only one who can do it. If you'd like to see us reach the largest audience, we must please the almighty suggestion algorithms at iTunes and YouTube, and they don't care about the power of IFS. They're looking for likes and shares and comments, and the sooner the better. Follow the links in the show notes right here in your podcast player to make your wishes known. And now, a minute of meditation. or if you prefer, pull over. You can do it in 60 seconds. Just click one of those links. They're right there, and give us a like or a 5-star rating. It would really help. If you think this project is helping people, you're helping people by sharing it. Thank you.